Good evening, everybody. Tech Talk Tuesday is live in Nashville, Tennessee. Chuck, first today, thank you. I want to talk to you about things we read about and hear about, but now we're going to look at it in person. Hi, Tim. If you know anybody that's interested in what we do with valve springs and why and what we're looking for, I'm going to do a little lesson on that today so we can talk about what all that means to us. And I'm going to share some info about it. This is Tech Talk Tuesday number 171, you guys. Hey, Ron. Hey, Charlie. Hey, Ron. Okay. Thank you guys for coming on. This is going to be fun now, I'm telling you. I'm excited about the subject today. Hey, Bryce. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, this will cover valve springs in general, not just Harley or Milwaukee 8, because these Harley engines, hey, Ed, hey, Greg, and Alan, those guys that you keep up with this stuff, just so you know, like a small block Chevy has the same size valves, same bore and stroke. Big block Chevys have the same bore and stroke as these Harley engines. So when I get to work on, hey, Tom and Chuck, when I get to talk on this stuff, Danny, when I get a chance to talk on this stuff, it's really kind of like to everyone, because it's not just motorcycle engines, because this, like even this Harley over here, back here in the background, back over here somewhere, you can see it in the background. That is, that's part of a 580 cubic inch V8. It's the front two cylinders. So same bore and stroke, same all kind of cool stuff. So anyway, today in my hands, today I have a bone stock spring out of a Milwaukee 8. You can see it's a beehive shape. I also have the Screaming Eagle spring kit that the Harley shops are selling to go in the stage 3, stage 4, stage 5 kits. I also have our own really nice valve spring kit with the titanium retainers and the billet steel locks. And I want to show you a little bit about what our concerns are and what we're interested in. Hey, Tyler, thank y'all guys for looking in here. This will be fun. So I'm going to get started now in a second. I'm going to move to the board so you can see the Tech Talk Tuesday number 171. Very thankful to be able to show you guys this stuff again. And I'm going to step over here real quick and show you the cylinder head. This is a bone stock Milwaukee 8 head. It's just a takeoff. It's been run. It's got some miles on it, but not a lot. And what I did was I unhooked the valve right here, and I pulled the valve stem up, put the locks and the keeper back on it. Oops, fumbling a little bit. Okay, and I stretched it up real high, and I measured from the base of the spring, where the spring sits, to the top of this retainer, because I don't have an inside mic. If I had an inside mic, I could set it in here and measure between the retainer and the lower seat. But this is going to work really good, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to take this, where the spring sits in here, and measure it all the way to the top. And I got 1 inch 600 thousandths, okay? That includes the retainer thickness. And let me show you how I work that out. All right, I'm going to take this loose. And this has the, what they call, these are stamped steel locks, triple groove. Nothing special about them. Most all Harleys run them. And this is a really cheap steel retainer right out of a stock Milwaukee 8. It's low performance, and I'm going to put it on the spring and show you how to measure this. Please be patient with me, because I'm flopping around a little bit live, and you know how live goes. It ain't always well scripted. So here you go. I'm going to take the spring, I'm going to put the retainer on top of it, and I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to zero everything. I'm going to zero my gauge. All right, I got my gauge, my caliper zeroed, and my spring weight is 0. When you let this arm weigh, this arm right here weighs, it's got it at 5 pounds, so that's not going to count. I'm going to keep that off of it, but I'm going to let this come up, and I'm going to be 0 on the gauge here. Okay, now I'm going to set this spring in, and I'm going to pull this spring down to 1 inch 600, which is the total height of the spring in the head. All right, I'm going to pull it down. Let's try it. We go down to 1,600 right there. It says we have 62 pounds on the seat. 62 pounds on the seat, okay? Now, if you want to find out what this spring is good for, lift, I can zero this gauge again right here. Let me get back to 1,600 and zero this gauge, all right, right here. And now I'm going to pull this down to coil bind. That's pretty tough. Here we go. This is the stock spring. Look at there. It coil binds at 510 lift. Remember, we put it in at 0. 0 would be, hopefully, let's try and get it back right. I'm going to try and get back to 0 on my gauge, on my caliper. And I'm back to 61 pounds. 60, yeah, right at 60, 61 pounds, somewhere in that range. Okay, now I'm going to take the spring out, set this back down. I'm going to zero this again. Can everybody see okay? Put the spring back in. I'm double checking now just to make sure that we got our ducks in a row. I'm going to pull this down to 1,600. Now listen, don't get confused with install height because this is over the retainer, and I'll show you the difference in a minute. All right, here we are right there. Look back at my gauge. I'm right at 60 pounds. Right at 62 pounds. That's how much install height seat pressure a bone stock Milwaukee 8 has. Now, let's go open up the Screaming Eagles. Oh, and also we decided that this will only handle 500 lift. That's why our 30/30 cam goes in at almost 485, which gives us, now let's check it. If you put a stock, we sell our 30/30 camshaft to go in, and it goes in at 5 at the same install height. It goes in at, here we are, right here. It goes in at about 60 pounds, and then we'll put it in at 485 lift. Here we go, 485. Yeah, I got to do it again. Be patient. Like I said, when it's live, there's no room for boo-boos. It's a well worked out combination. It's been run, thousands and thousands of them are running. All right, we're going to go to 1,600 installed over the retainer. Very carefully, very quietly, sneaking up on it, right there. Now I want to pull it to 485 lift. And we're 197 over the nose. In case anybody wondered, that's a bone stock Milwaukee 8 spring and retainer that I just took out of a stock head over there. Now I'm going to go over here and get the Screaming Eagle kit. This is what's in all the stage 3, stage 4, stage 5, Screaming Eagle 131s, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And here is a retainer. I think it's the same as stock, but we're going to get it out anyway. It might be made out of a better material. They do brag on it just a little bit. Boy, this paper's better. You can tell how much I've rehearsed this, right? Okay, calm down, George. Same install height. Let's check and make sure the retainer is. Same for install height. Yes, it is. All right. Zero everybody out again. This goes in at 1/600. This is the news of the day right here, you guys. The Screaming Eagle spring that comes in the 131 kit. There we go. We have now 87 pounds on the seat. Can everybody see that? We have 87 pounds on the seat. We went from 62 to 87. Now I'm going to try my best to pull this to 1/600, and then we're going to check the lift on this spring. And I'm going to show you something funny about that, if everything lines up like I hope it does. All right, I'm zeroing my gauge. Can everybody see that? Okay, now I'm going to pull this to the, let's see what it'll go in at, 585. There we go, 270 pounds over the nose. And this is not bolted down, so I'm holding on to it. And it will go 680 lift without coil bind. 680 lift. Now, what does that mean? 680 lift with the Screaming Eagle spring. So look right here. No messages right now, please. Here we go. This kit is intended for use with high lift, high RPM applications. This kit will work with lifts up to 540. All of us read this, all of the Harley techs and everybody, we read that this spring was good to 540. But listen, it will go to 640 easily and perfectly. So this spring, the Screaming Eagle kit will go to 640 lift. So why don't we use them in the use with 620 cams, 615s, 630 lift? How come we don't use the cheap Screaming Eagle spring? Just because it'll go to 640 lift or 650 lift, why don't we use it? Let me give you an example. Here's a cheap coat hanger. Just a cheap coat hanger. It's made out of some good wire. I'm gonna unwind it here, hang on. Okay, here is cheap coat hanger. I just unwound it, and I want to tell you that it will bend. It'll bend 90 degrees. It'll bend 90 degrees, no problem. Just like this spring will go to 640 lift. We just saw it happen on this spring tester. It will. You can mash this to 640 lift without coil binding this spring. But so can you bend this coat hanger 90 degrees. But let me tell you, man, if you bend this coat hanger one time, and you bend it another time, and then you bend it another time, and then you bend it another time, and then you bend it another time. And remember, this spring right here goes 120 times a second at 6,000 RPM. It's going up and down. And this coat hanger gets hot right here. Just from me bending it. Between my fingers right here, you ought to feel the heat in this thing. You can bend this enough times till it will burn you. This is cheap wire. You can bend it. You can bend it like a paper clip. You can bend it like a paper clip. But it's hot. Guess what this will do when you use it 1 trillion times in 1 hour over 540 lift? This wire will fail. We see these on the internet and in person and at Harley dealerships everywhere, that these springs fail when we overuse them. When you buy Screaming Eagle 131, 128, or whatever you're buying, and it comes with Screaming Eagle valve springs, it says that and the only reason they sell a cam for that kit, they sell I think it's called a 517 or something. It's because this spring is not good past 540. Even though the spring tester says it will go to 640. Just because it will, just because it can, doesn't mean you should use it for that. Just like this poor coat hanger here. I can bend this coat hanger right here on this show till the wire fails. Same thing these springs do. And this one right here, y'all, this stock spring right here, this one will go 510 lift, but it's coil bound. This one right here will go 640 lift without coil binding. So this spring has a good idea, but let me tell you why it does it. This is what's really amazing to me. This is really amazing to me. I'm gonna drop this down a hair so I can show you this, but this is crazy. All right, I'm gonna take this vernier caliper and zero it, and I'm gonna take this wire on this, and I'm gonna measure this wire. On the Screaming Eagle spring, it says it is 146 thousandths diameter wire. This stock spring is 146 thousandths diameter wire. But I want you to also notice right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coils. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coils. There is a whole coil missing there. And the reason that is when you can stack these 7 coils up, they get solid really, really soon. And this one gets solid really late. Also, another thing that folks don't realize is this is an ovate wire. This wire is not round. This wire is round. Look how wide this wire is. I told you it was 146. Look at this. Look at this one. This is the same wire. This is how oval this wire is. This wire says that it is 182 thousandths wide and 145 or 4 thousandths diameter. So what is this wire? This wire is made out of oval wire. It's an ovate wire. And I don't like them. They give you room for lift, but I don't like how good they hold up. I think you need a nice round wire like the PSI spring. And I'm going to open that up and show it to you now. I saw on the internet the other day, some guy said that all the springs are repackaged that we get for the Milwaukee 8, that all the springs that are out there available are just repackaged springs for car engines and other kind of stuff. But I'm going to show you, this is the only spring that I know of that was made just for the Milwaukee 8. This is not a car spring. This is not an adapted LS spring or some kind of Coyote Mustang spring. This spring is right here is made for a Milwaukee 8. It fits into the stock package, and it fits in with billet steel locks, not just, you know, the formed ones that are just like stamped. These are billet, machined out of bar stock. Comes with some really high quality titanium retainers. These are titanium, they're super lightweight, and they're just the right diameter for this spring. But I wanted to tell you that this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half coils. But these are stout, round wire made out of the highest quality materials. This is 155 both ways. It's 155 wide and 155 tall. This is a round, high quality silicone wire. So if you, what the deal is these are not a whole lot better in lift, but they are made to run at maximum capacity for a long, long time. So you can run them for hours and hours, like a cup car or an endurance car, or they run the engines for hours at maximum capacity. So I'm gonna put this in, and this is a stout little booger here now. We're gonna go back to the spring tester. Bring my flashlight over here so we can see some good numbers. Unscript it again. Zero this out. Put it in at 1/600. Let's check it and make sure I'm close. Can everybody see? There we go. We're at 92 pounds, so that's more than the Screaming Eagle on the seat. Just a little bit, but not too much. I'm going to go to 1/600 again and zero the gauge. Y'all, wait till you get old. You'll be shaking worse than me, I promise. I've been practicing. 640. That's why we call it a 640 spring. Now, if you put it in, let's say you put it in a little bit taller, like you get a little bit longer valve, get a little bit higher up keepers, a little bit higher up retainers for your custom package, you can actually make this combination go in at 80 pounds on the seat. Let's go to 80 pounds on the seat. Everybody can see the pounds, right? Let's zero this back out. Let's put it in at 80 pounds on the seat. People always want some kind of installed height pressure, but let's put this in at 80 pounds. Okay, you see there, we're 1 inch 640. So you could put a little bit longer valve in, and you could unstack this spring to where it's setting up in the head taller, and you have only 80 pounds on the seat. Then if you zero this out, now you can go ahead and put 670 lift to it. I hope that makes sense to you guys, and I didn't want to spend a bunch of time on it, but I did spend some time, but I wanted it to make sense to you. Now I got a couple things I wanted to share with you that has been conversation daily with me, and I made a couple of notes. Why do some Harleys puke oil out of the air breather and some don't? Well, here's my opinion. When you break one in where they want you to drive it really easy for 500 miles so you can burnish the bearings, what happened, man? Why is everybody frowning? Now everybody's laughing. That's funny. Okay, thank you. Anyway, I made a note, and I wanted to tell you that the ones that puke a little bit of oil, what we do is we put a cam in it, we put a pipe, we get it tuned, and now we're added 1,000 RPM to it, and we're out running the ring's capacity to seal to the cylinder. So now it's going to have some blow by because you're revving it higher than you ever did. If you take it back out with the cam and the pipe and all the cool trick parts and the tune and run it at the same RPM as stock, you'll have the same amount of blow by that you had when it was stock, because nothing changed. The pistons, the rings, none of that changed. Only thing that changed is how hard you were working the engine. And the rings on a stock Harley package are made to go, say, they're supposed to go, say, 5,300, 5,500, something like that. And with that, with the revving it like that, your rings will stay sealed up and it'll be nice. Other thing is what makes the compensator rattle, y'all? What makes the compensator rattle is the camshaft. When you have a cam that's in the engine and it's smooth and the crankshaft's going like this, the compensator is perfect for that. Put you a racing cam in it where it's going and it's loping like we want them to, the compensator's getting a serious workout, and it makes the compensator rattle. I had a client one day, he said, I want a cam in my bike. So we did it. And he said, something's wrong in the primary. That's why. I said, making a lot of noise. I said, you want to put the stock cam back in it? And he said, heck no. I said, well, if you want the compensator and the primary to quit rattling, we're going to have to put a stock cam in it because it has no overlap and it's smooth like an electric engine. You know how it is. You go buy a new Milwaukee 8, it sounds like an electric motorcycle. It doesn't have any lope to it. So it has windows. It has windows in the compensator. And these lobes rattle around inside these windows, and they're shock absorbers for the crankshaft going up, back and forth, back and forth. And the noise that we love on the Milwaukee 8s when they got a cam in them is that crankshaft shaking, and the compensator rattles to make up for it. You know, big, heavy stock flywheels do a good job of keeping the engine going in the same direction when it's idling or going down the road. But if you lighten the flywheels and thin them up and cut windows in them and make them super lightweight, now the flywheels are going to rattle more because the crankshaft is starting and stopping, and the flywheel inertia that's making the engine smooth is gone, so now it shakes. And I wrote down the stock heavy flywheels do their best to keep the engine rolling at low idle. And if you were cut the big wheels and make the crank super lightweight, the crank would try and start and stop every time it fires, and the engine would be a herky-jerky jackhammer. And we don't want it to sound like that. Also, we want it to go really fast. So when you make it a herky-jerky jackhammer, what we get is then the guy wants to put a solid compensator delete a solid sprocket. Now you got this herky-jerky thing going. Now there's no compensator in there to compensate for that herky-jerky. Now you just got a solid sprocket. So this shaking and jerking goes through the chain, goes through the primary, goes through the clutch basket, it goes through the input shaft. It wrecks the bearings, it wrecks the transmission, and it wrecks the clutch basket. So then we all got smart. So then we bought us a billet clutch basket. They last longer, still herky-jerky, still making a lot of noise. And then if you take the compensator off of your Harley and put a solid front comp sprocket on it, they're cheap. They cost half of what a compensator costs. They cost less than $200. They cost $100. A solid front sprocket. Listen, a V8 has smooth firing order. This Harley, it has 400, 300, 400, 300. It shakes like a paint shaker turned up on 10 when it's idling and when it's going down the road. So you got to compensate for that herky-jerky shaking with the compensator in the front. Now, if you take the compensator off, it's similar to putting struts on your bike instead of shocks. If you took these shocks off and you put a solid piece of bar stock right there and you took the forks apart, took the compensator and the dampeners out and took the springs out, you would end up with a buck horse. And what would break on this? If you put solid suspension on the front and rear, something's going to break soon. Same thing happens on your engine if you take the compensator off. Something else is going to break. The first casualty will be the weakest link, that's for sure. Anyway, let's go down here and say, why does the transmission break? Okay, this is a very controversial subject. I see one of the best sellers out there is lockup clutches. There's really great products out there. They're red and they're blue and they got all kind of anodized colors. They're gold and black, and they got some really nice pieces for the clutch, and it makes the clutch not slip. I'm going to read you my opinion on that. Why does the transmission break? I said mostly because of driver abuse. Power shifting with wide open full throttle shifts, solid compensator, and lockup clutches. Listen, y'all, we want the clutch to slip a little bit. Try and drive your car or your truck or your motorcycle, anything that has a clutch and a transmission in it, and it was either an on or off clutch. Like you're sitting there at the traffic light and you just turn the clutch on. Bam, turn it on, it goes, cuts off. Rev it up, turn the clutch on. Bam, it cuts off again. Pretty soon, you rev it up high enough, throw the clutch out, the drive shaft's going to fall out, the transmission's going to fall out, the inner hub in the clutch is going to fall out. In your car, in your truck, never mind this poor little motorcycle with Tinker Toy drivetrain in it. You got to treat it like it won't be a dump truck. It's not. My stuff, my primaries last with the stock clutches and the stock compensators with the billet ramp and all the stock clutch stuff is because the clutch slips. It's a shock absorber. Okay. We want the clutch to slip a little bit, okay? And if the clutch is locked up too tight where it can't slip a little bit, it's going to break the gears off in the transmission. Third gear breaks on the Milwaukee 8s because the clutch doesn't slip. And you power shift it with a clutch that won't slip. And you got a solid sprocket on the front instead of a compensator. All those things is what wrecks those parts. All right. It's not faster with a clutch that doesn't slip. It's not better performance with a clutch that doesn't slip. It's not, y'all. It's slower. The clutch keeps the drop in the power zone. It keeps the engine in the rev zone. The tire wears out, the clutch wears out, the oil wears out, the compensator wears out. Those are wearable items. They're supposed to wear out. They're not supposed to last forever. Just because, last thing about these springs I want to tell you, and then I'm going to roll. Just because a spring will go to 510 lift doesn't mean you should bring it there. Just because a Screaming Eagle spring in your 128, 131 or your stage 4 or your stage 5 will go to 540 lift or 640 lift doesn't mean you should. The quality of the wire, they shop this stuff, y'all. The Harley dealership, the Harley factory, no bagging on them, just like any company we know. They're trying to make money, trying to sell a great product, and they're trying to do it at a good price, and we pay for it. If we didn't pay for it, excuse me, if it was too high, we wouldn't buy them, but we're buying them, okay? And it's a good product, but we shouldn't ask it to do things that it can't do. And I know all this is real junky looking and non-professional, but I'm sharing you ideas and I'm sharing you my thoughts. But this spring right here has been proven over time, the Screaming Eagle spring, that it will last for a while under 6,000 RPM and under 540 lift. If you want to run my F35A or my 3/4 or my full race 615, and many of my competitors have cams bigger than that, you've got to use a better spring. Not because it's bigger, not because it lifts higher, but because it's made out of super high quality materials, and the workmanship is unbelievable on this. This spring right here may last 1 mile, or it may last 50 miles, or it may last 50,000 miles. This is the closest. It's not a guaranteed part, but it's as close in racing and high performance as we can get, because I've been doing it for a long, long time, and I have not broken a PSI spring yet. And I know I'm jinxing myself by saying that, but let's try it. Let's try and prove it. Run it within its parameters, which is keep it a little bit away from coil bind, and use the right parts so you can make some power and some reliability and have fun and some longevity. Tech Talk number 171 is out. We're done. Just because you can build an engine with a 4600 bore, don't do it. And there is poor Blue 50 waiting his turn. I'm still working on it. May God bless y'all. Good night. Thank you for watching. I enjoyed it.